Welcome back to TSP the Scuttlebutt. This week's episode is a little bit different. A couple of weeks ago, my co-host and I, Andrew, we were interviewed by Travis over at Oscar Mike Radio. So this week's episode is that interview. Patreon supporters, I'd like to give a big shout out to Jason Fleek for being our very first supporter. If you would like to support TSP the Scuttlebutt, please visit us on Patreon. You can find the links on all of our social media content. Thank you.
You all sound great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
And you're Detroit Lions fan?
Yes, sir.
All right. Don't call me sir. I got a Lance Corporal, sir.
hey, Lance Corporal. Hey, guess what, man? There's gonna. I was just talking to a guy. There's gonna be an IW hike in Lexington. They just started that one. Kentucky.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
I can't tell you how happy I am to be talking with you guys this morning. Here's kind of how I want this to go thinking about this is you all tell your origin story, as I like to call it, in your shows. You know, your story, sir, Andrew's story. That's all very well defined. But you all did something at the Dogs of War event that I have been trying to get other military podcasts to do since day one of my show, is simply go to an event. I don't care if it's at a bar, at a picnic table, in a park, in a conference room, put up a table, your recorder, and talk to people. I can't get anybody to do that. And I thought what you all did for that event was amazing because you finally did it. Somebody finally did it. Oh my God.
Yes.
Hey, it's Fleek, man. That was his idea, man. I just come around and look pretty.
Well, no. So I want to talk about the podcast more than rehash your military origins. We're going to touch on that. You know, sure. Commander Flake served in the Navy. Andrew was in, weapons company, 03 in the Marine Corps, salty as fuck. We're going to do that. But then I really want to dive into your show. This is what this is about and how, talking to Uncle Si, what that was like, talking to Travis McVeigh, so on and so forth. Other stories you want to have to hopefully motivate some of our brethren and sisters to actually, get out from behind the table in their house and try to go out and do this. Because, as I understand your story, you're trying to tell these stories and connect with people in a real way. And you can't do it. You can do it through social media, sure, but there's nothing like sitting in front of somebody. Now, if I was in Indiana, I'd be down in Tennessee right now talking to you both, but I'm not. But you know what I'm talking about. So really about your show and some of the things you're going on. I like the way you guys play off each other. So we're going to do this for 20 to 40 minutes. I don't like to go over 40 minutes myself. People just drop off after minute, 45.
Correct.
So we're going to have a good time doing this. Any questions before we begin?
No,
but this is like full circle, man. I started with you and I'm with you again. It's kind of cool, man.
I can't wait to see what's next. I can't wait to see. So I'm gonna hit the record button.
Right on.
Recording in progress.
Got it.
And this is gonna drop because of Thanksgiving and me getting caught up from being hurt. This is gonna drop, gents, in December 2nd. Just FYI. I'm finally starting to get motoring again. So just be aware of that. Okay. Let me get my coffee going here.
Yeah. If my dog starts barking, I'll apologize. I couldn't get him to leave my man cave.
Keep it calm, Briggs. Keep it calm.
All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis, the host, Marine Corps veteran. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hoobazoo Network. You can find out more on hoobazoo.com. And I have been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Throwback to Tennessee, I have Richard Farr, who's very far. I got that right this time, Richard.
You got it right, man. You got it right.
And, his co-host, sidekick, mentor, Commander Richard Fleek. Gentlemen of the Scuttlebutt podcast, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Hey, Travis. Actually, I'm the co-host. He's the host.
Well, we're both co-hosts.
Yeah, you're both co-hosts.
Whatever. I don't know. However that works out. I don't know.
Well, you're both co-hosts. In a two-person show, you're both co-hosts.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, well, okay. I guess that's how that works.
No man fights alone, right, Marine?
No man fights alone. That's right.
All right.
Hoorah. Semper Fi. Do or die.
Yeah. So, Andrew, we met about 3 years ago, right?
We met 3 years ago. Yes. I remember Katrina and I, we met, and then we came up to Boston and actually physically met you, which was really, really cool. And we got to have lunch at, where was that seafood place we went to in Boston? It was right on the bay.
It's the Palm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was the Palm. That was great, man. And I love everything about Oscar Mike Radio, and we've been friends for a long time, and it's been a great journey. You're the one that actually broke the seal on my being on podcasts. So thank you very much, Travis.
So it has come full circle. Commander, I'm extremely humbled and honored to meet you. And I really like you all's story. Now, I'm not going to get into all their, full origin story. We're not going to do a prequel here, but just briefly for our audience, kind of flip a coin. One of you go first and just tell us about your military, story.
You can go. You can go, Andrew.
Are you sure?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. Richard Andrew Farr, United States Marine, Purple Heart recipient. 2005 was in Karma. 2006 Ramadi. 2007 aboard the greatest, well, actually the second greatest naval vessel, the USS Kearsarge. Now I'm VFW chaplain. I did a big stint with IW for 3 years of my life. Marine Corps League, American Legion, and now 3 years recovering alcoholic and grateful recovering alcoholic. And now my life is to help veterans out wherever I can, and however, if I can get there, if I can help them, I'll do it. If I can't, I know someone that will get them the help that they need.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Commander, sir.
Yes, I served in the United States Navy. I'm aboard the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier. I sailed 4 continents when I was 20 years old. Top Gun was filmed on my ship while I was there. 2 of my friends actually made it in the movie. When I got out of the Navy, I had a kind of rough transition and back into civilian life. So my wife talked me into joining some groups. So the first group I joined was the American Legion. Then I joined the VFW. Then I joined the Dearborn Allied War Veterans Council. Dearborn, Michigan is my hometown. And in those 3 groups, I was the junior vice, senior vice, and commander of all 3 groups. I moved to Tennessee. I got out of the game for a couple of years. I've been here for about 8 years. I got out of the game for about 4 years, and then it was bothering me. I got the itch. So I joined the VFW, and Andrew talked me into being the commander again. And so I was commander of 4575 of Murfreesboro, and then we split from them and created our brand new, very own VFW Stones River Post 12206. And mind you, when we're members of 4575, in 1 year we were All-American. So it's a very prestigious award.
We are en route to be All-American again this year. So we need a couple more things, Commander, and then we'll be done.
What does All-American mean?
All-American, there's certain prerequisites that you have to get. Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, community service. You have to have a social media. You have to have a presence. You have to sign up for Action Corps, which is the news. Action Corps is basically, it's an email that you get from the VFW, and it tells all about what's going on legislatively. Because the VFW, I don't know if you know this, but we helped pave the way for the Montgomery GI Bill back in I think it was 1954. Agent Orange, Blue Water Navy. And now we're doing burn pit registry. I mean, basically that email keeps you up to date with what's going on between, the VFW National and Congress. And it's very good to be a part of that action corps, because you know what the VFW National is trying to do for us, for all the 1.3 million members of the VFW nationwide.
Awesome.
When we started in the basement of a church. It was probably like 5 or 6 of us, and we exploded.
Outstanding. And so you're doing all this, and you know, whose idea, or how did the Scuttlebutt podcast really come to be?
Flake. That was his idea. That was his baby, Travis.
So, okay. So it comes to be, I'll get in that in a second, but because, you know, there's a lot of people starting podcasts and they really can't articulate why. So what prompted you to say, you know, I want to do this?
So this is a super easy question. So when I was a young kid, I was fortunate to have 7 grandparents. So 3 of my great-grandparents were alive when I was a youngster.
Oh, wow.
And so I had 3 grandfathers and 4 grandmothers. All 3 of my grandfathers are combat veterans. My great-grandpa Carr, he was in World War I in the Navy. His son, my grandpa Carr, he was in the Army. He served with the Old Hickory 30th Division, and he fought Hitler's SS Division not once but twice, and dismantled the SS Division both times, so bad that Hitler himself called my grandfather's group Roosevelt's SS Division. My other grandfather on my dad's side, he was in the United States Navy when he was actually in boot camp when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. His first assignment was after they cut his boot camp short, and they sent him to Pearl Harbor to assist in cleanup, i.e. fill body bags. And so ever since I was a young kid, I would always ask my grandparents about military life and the wars. I was super intrigued, like, how does somebody make it through a war, like especially World War II, man. So every time I would talk to my grandpa Carr, the one that was in the Army, he would break down and not like sob, but he'd well up in tear so bad. Like my mom would always lecture me before we went to his house, stop asking your grandpa about the war. It upsets him. But like, I couldn't help it. I had to pull these stories out. And then when I became a veteran myself, I would sit at American Legions, VFWs, and I would find the old guy sitting at the bar, and I would pull their story out. And I just loved it. I love getting people's stories. And so I've had this idea, this podcast. So this podcast thing just exploded, right, over the last, 8-10 years. Yep. And so I was like, my original intent was just to go out and interview people, put it on, make a digital media of it somehow, and then give it to the family so the family has their stories forever. But then, I've been listening to all these podcasts, and I'm like, what, this would be a perfect podcast. There's all kinds of podcasts, like Navy SEALs getting like high level stories. But like, there's millions of other stories out there that people are not hearing. And then every time one of these veterans dies, their story goes with it. You'll never hear that story again. So it's like near and dear to my heart. This is like, basically it comes down to legacy, following my grandparents' footsteps, getting their stories. And I tell you what, when me and Andrew are sitting at this very table right now and we have somebody in the hot seat, it gets emotional in here. We've shed tears on the show.
I've heard the tears. I've listened to your show. I've heard the tears. Speaking of Andrew, because he's a force of nature.
He is.
How did you and Andrew come to work together on this?
Commander Fleek asked me, and I was very honored and humbled that he'd want to hear my voice like every other week on the radio. But I think I think his idea is amazing. It's recording the stories of those that came before us and those that paved the way. And we've had some really, really, really good interviewees. A Vietnam vet we just had. I saw a change. He was real nervous the first maybe 5-10 minutes of the podcast. And then like that, something clicked and he just calmed down. He started, just cutting it up with us. And I'm like, because he was talking about it and getting it out. And to us,
it was very spiritual.
It was crazy. It was amazing. It was amazing. I'd never seen something like that. I mean, maybe that's something that happened to me, but I'd never seen it to another person.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very cool. And I think Fleek has a great idea, and he's just a wonderful person to work with.
So that Vietnam veteran he's talking about, he was very humble, and he kept saying, you know, I feel bad because I didn't do as much as most people did during the Vietnam War. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, yeah, when I got my Bronze Star. And I was like, what? Hold up right now. You didn't do anything significant, yet you're holding a Bronze Star? Are you kidding me? Super, super humble man. It was amazing interview.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I've listened to all your podcasts, and I like the way that you all are starting to get a gel going.
Yeah.
And
it was rough at first.
It was.
We're bouncing off each other. We had no idea what the hell we were doing.
It happens. I mean, you listen to some of my first 30, 40, podcasts. They were not good at all, really, honestly. But I like the way you guys are kind of settling into a groove. It's really cool to see. Just technically, because there's an element of technology in this. I mean, what do you use to, set up your show? Mics.
Yeah. So first of all, we don't use video yet. We're not that level yet, but one day we'd love to. But I use all Rode equipment. So I have a Rodecaster Pro and Rode four Rode mics with 4 headsets. Exactly what you can see me using right now. Yeah. And I just have a 6-foot folding table up in my man cave, and we just bring our guests here. Or like we had a Korean War vet. And I knew that, he's aging. I think he said he was 91 years old. And I didn't want to bring him to my house and climb the stairs. So a buddy of mine, his name's Trent Denson. He runs a podcast. He manages a podcast. He's like the umbrella of all these other podcasts. Spread the positive. And he opened his studio up to us anytime we want. So we have access to an actual studio, podcast studio, or my man cave where I'm at right now.
Well, I wanted to say one podcast to another. The thing that I really, appreciate is I'm looking at your kit. I'm like, I knew you're using your Rode guy. I knew that, but I appreciated that because you sound good. It's like, yes, somebody who took the extra effort to get the mixer kit out, get the mic styled in, and you all sound good when you do this. And it's really appreciated from my perspective as someone who does the same craft.
This is Andrew's favorite part.
He's got a tune for all the services, man, except for Space Force, because I don't even think they have a tune.
I don't think they have a tune.
We could do Lost in Space.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you're a Rode guy. I'm a Zoom guy myself. My mic is not a high end mic, but I like it because and you've already been able to take what you do and share it around with somebody else. And I like that with the podcast community. Good podcasters will share what they have. One thing that I'm like, yes, I told you all this before we got going today is. You're getting yourselves out there. Tell me about supporting the Dogs for War event, because look, folks, if you're a podcaster, especially a military podcaster, these guys have done it. They took their show on the road and made a positive impact at an event, and anybody can do it if you just do it. So I was really interested in that because I'm like, yes. So how'd that come to be?
Hey, Andrew called me one day and says, hey, Dogs of War are doing a fundraiser in Nashville. And they asked if we could bring the podcast and just interview random veterans as they walk by. And, by the way, Uncle Si will be there and we can interview him. And I was like, well, first of all, hell yes. But now that Uncle Si's there, I will not miss this for the world.
Dude, he jumped. As soon as I said Uncle Si, he was like, yep, sign me up right now.
Yeah, I was very honored that they even knew about us. We didn't reach out to them. They came to us. And first of all, we've only been doing this for 3 months. So first of all, how the hell did they find us? And second of all, hell yes, we will definitely be there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as your show comes from a place of I like to call it truth and authenticity.
How many interviews did we do that day? Like 5 or 6?
5 or 6, and they were awesome interviews, man. They were great.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't get Uncle Si,
we're like, yeah.
Even if we didn't get Uncle Si, it would have been worth it 100 times over. I would do it 100 times over. It was amazing.
Yeah, we got Travis McVeigh and Michael and Malachias and Uncle Si.
Chris Turner.
Chris Turner. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love Chris Turner, man.
So what was it like? I'm always curious because I've gone, quote, on the road before, close quote, where you pick up and you go to a different place and set up and do this. What was, getting out of the studio like?
It was kind of a struggle at first because it was at a gun club outdoors. So the mics were picking up all kinds of background noise. So I actually took the Uncle Si and I finished editing it yesterday. So it took me a little bit extra longer because I wanted to try to, get that background noise out because I didn't want it was such a great story. I didn't want to get lost in the noise and the background noise. So, but I was a little nerve wracking at first, but it's kind of like interviewing that Vietnam veteran. Once we sat down and started interviewing people, man, it was just like smooth as silk, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
And what was the Dogs of War event for everybody out there?
Dogs of War is a nonprofit founded by Byron Davis, Dr. Byron Davis, former police officer in, I think, Spring Hill or Mount Juliet, one of those towns. I can't remember which one he's part of, but he takes a veteran and a local Leo or a firefighter, EMT, out on a hunt, and either pheasant, quail, hog hunt, whitetail, whatever, and takes them out, to a gun club or a range or a preserve, and it's a free hunt for these people, and it's great. I did one a pheasant and a quail hunt, and it was awesome. And I would rather shoot with my M16 or my 240 because that up over I can't shoot worth anything with that thing. No way. Nope. But it's a great nonprofit. And it was at the National Gun Club, and they raised a good bit of money, and it was just a really fun time.
Well, I just, again, there's so many other military podcasts and podcasters who talk to me about how can we get ourselves out there, and I'm like, if you put yourself out there as a way to add value, you're going to do this a whole lot. And you had the pictures on social media. I'll grab a couple and put them in here. And it looks like your guests were having a great time.
Yeah, they were.
They did.
So you're out there, and I like the fact you had to step in the repeat with the VFW, repping the VFW in the background. Very nicely done, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Very nicely done.
Always.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I was kind of curious about. I mean, you're so involved with VFW. What's it like to bring your podcast experience and outreach to the VFW?
Andrew here, he's a national recruiter, so I'm going to let him talk about that one.
It's a great way. It's like you said, getting out there, and that's what we have to do with the VFW, because a lot of these new kids that are coming out, sometimes, they don't even know that they actually are eligible for the VFW, and getting it out there. That's with our post. We've got a guy here. I can't be everywhere. This guy, Herbert Hill, is, everywhere. Every weekend we've got he's either at Woodbury Flea Market, Sloan's Motorcycles, Bumpus Motorcycles, Harley Davidson, Sportsman's Warehouse. You name Mayday Brewery. We were there yesterday, and then I had a birthday party to go to. And at the birthday party, I picked up a member and a donation just by going to a birthday party. It was... I try and it's not selling the VFW. It's selling a place to meet for veterans to come together. And it's not the Smoky Bar anymore. It's not the place where you go and drink. Our post, we don't even have a building, but yet we have, we started with 25 members last year. We've got 145 right now. And it's just, we share ideas and we get out in the community. And that's what the VFW is all about, is community and bringing the community together and all the people together and all the nonprofits together.
Well, the reason I kind of asked that is I see a parallel between what you all are doing with the VFW and how you all have approached Scuttlebutt podcast, right? It's the VFW and the podcast community are two separate communities, but you're taking both of them to move veterans advocacy forward, it seems like.
100%. I like to say, like, we use the podcast as a vehicle to get our name, our word out there. And I'm going to use a great instance right now. A couple of weeks ago, I was contacted by Middle Tennessee's Home Builders Association. And the reason why they found me is through the podcast. They contacted me and they said, hey, would you like to have your podcast involved with, we're giving away a mortgage-free home for a veteran. And it just turns out that the home that they're building is right down the street from my house. And I said, hell yes. And by the way, I'm the commander of the local VFW in the neighborhood. So you have not only the podcast support, you have all of VFW support 100%. As soon as I got out of that meeting, I immediately called Brian Walker, Brian Walker is the state commander. And obviously they fell in love with the idea. Like, who wouldn't fall in love with the idea of a mortgage-free home for a veteran? So not only the local VFW will be there, the state will be there, the district will be there, and us local people will be there. And the groundbreaking for that is November 19th, and I'm super stoked about it.
It's gonna be good. Well, yeah, Commander Flake, I've been reaching out a lot more, so I got a lot more to tell you after we're done with this. But it's gonna be good, man. I'm very excited. I'm really happy that you got that. You got that consideration from Pulte Homes and Homes for Heroes.
Yeah, this whole thing's been an amazing ride. And so we're only 3 months into this, and we're like what are we gonna be like next year? I can't wait.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to ask you before we move on to the next topic is what's next for the Scuttlebutt podcast and you both?
Hey, to be honest with you, I have no idea, man. We just jumped on this thing. We're riding the wave, man.
Yeah, we're riding the wave, man. Like, we don't have a plan. We're just gonna go and get those stories, man.
Well, I think that's important, and I'll tell you why. Because so many other podcasts I run into, and I was the same way with mine, and still am to a degree. Is they want like a business plan, a show plan, media plan, and have all the planning done and everything buttoned down before they get behind the mic once. And I'm like, you can do that, but while you're doing all this planning, you're not executing anything.
Exactly.
Go out there and
go out
there and execute. So you've done that. That's amazing. So I'm talking to Commander Richard Fleek and my good friend Andrew Farr. They're with the Scuttlebutt podcast, the veteran podcast that is just making inroads now. I can't wait to see what's next, though, because you both are doing what I want to see other veteran podcasts do. So I have kind of like a non-podcast topic to pick your brains about, gentlemen, if you're game.
Yeah, yes, of course. Go
absolutely.
ahead. Shoot.
All right. So part one is the situation with Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, who got on social media, made this huge rant about accountability and has, since been relieved of command and is on his way out of the Marine Corps. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. One, Commander Fleek, you have, led men, you have commanded, large operations. And Andrew, you've had to follow someone like Colonel Scheller in your service.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who say that he was absolutely 100% wrong and should have never done what he did. And I'm just curious what you all think about that.
Commander Fleek, do you want to take this first?
I'll just say that I don't think he did anything wrong. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
I agree. I think accountability. Okay. I've got a story about accountability. All right. I was on patrol in 2005, and we were in Carmel. All right, and we go into this school, and we wait, we clear the building, and we're upstairs, and we were waiting, and I'm exhausted, man. I've been patrolling all day today because that day that I was there, and so I actually left a piece of gear in that schoolhouse, and I told my squad leader, I'm like, hey, I left the pass. What the hell was it? It's the night vision with the black, white, black. What's that called?
I know what you're talking about. I forget what it's called.
It's a pass 13. The pass 13, I left it in the school, and I told my squad leader, like, we left the building, and I'm like, hey, he asked me, he's like, where's the pass 13? I'm like, oh, it's in the school. I didn't get it. And I'm like, okay, we got to go back and get it. So accountability, we went back after our patrol. After we got home, we went right back out to get that one piece of gear. And that's accountability. And I think Lieutenant Colonel Scheller was completely accurate. And I'm glad he did what he did.
The reason I'm kind of asking that, sir, is there's a lot of officers that I know, and these are, anywhere from 03, 04s all the way up who, took great pleasure, it seemed like, in, criticizing the lieutenant colonel's actions. My view is, I'm like, if one of my children want to join the Marine Corps and follow somebody, I'd rather them follow someone like Lieutenant Colonel Scheller than somebody who's not
100%.
Like
Let's not forget that 13 American lives were lost. If I'm going to go and I'm going to be led by somebody, I want to follow somebody that's going to stand up for us, not for the scrambled eggs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my kid to follow that guy. Like, 13 lives were lost because America blundered this whole situation. They blundered it.
So that leads me to my next question. And we've and we feel the same way, is Lieutenant Colonel Scheller gets lambasted in a lot of places. People who support him are being told to shut up. But it's crickets from the same people, the same officers I know that had no problem lambasting, this Marine, are crickets about the fact that, the Joint Chiefs head, General Milley, called China to warn them that, Trump is not going to do anything. And I can't wrap my head around how that was, one, okay, and two, how the man still has his job.
Exactly.
And three, why aren't we calling for his resignation? I'm just curious if I'm, off base here, or what am I not seeing?
Hey,
I think you take this, man. You've got a little bit more knowledge in this than I do.
China is literally one of our biggest enemies. And for one of our own officers to call them and give them heads up, man, that, as far as I'm concerned, he should be in the brig.
But what is it, sir? What is it? Why are his fellow officers almost to a man quiet about this? Like, you don't hear any officer stepping out of line at all, and he's getting a free pass.
Yeah, I have no idea why they're not holding him accountable. I don't know. Are they afraid of their jobs? They're like, when you get to that level, it's all political politics, man. And when you get politics in it, man, it just gets ugly fast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's my understanding, sir, is that the officer corps is more political than anything else.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, at the Dogs of War event, there was a couple officers standing there listening to our podcast. And after, when we had a break, I was like, hey, sir, would you like to sit down and have a talk with us? They're like, nope.
Yeah, that's right. And we just signed him up for, we got to vote on him. He's a great guy, but he's not going to, he was like, nope, I don't want to talk about it.
It's unfortunate because, I told one officer, it just reinforces the mindset that a lot of enlisted have, is that officers don't care.
Right.
We're just a cog in your machine. And if we break down or have a problem, bring the next one in. I don't care.
Exactly.
Well, that's not exactly true. Well,
there are a couple of, I've had a lot of good officers. Okay. There are some, just like enlisted, there's really good enlisted, and then there's some bad apples. And then with the officers, it's the same way. Like, the guys that I started with that were over me, Awesome guys. I wouldn't fault them in any way whatsoever. They truly, I mean, they were fellow grunts. They looked after us. Now other officers, I can't really talk about that, but the ones I had, they definitely had our back.
Yeah. My junior officers, I disliked them very much. I had no respect for my junior officers, but my high level officers. So I was a yeoman. I was the air boss's yeoman on an aircraft carrier. So a yeoman is basically an assistant. So I worked directly for the air boss. So in my office, there was a captain, a Navy captain, a commander, two commanders, a lieutenant commander, a lieutenant, and my master chief, and my LPO was the first class petty officer. So I sat in a room with a bunch of brass. The lieutenant, I had no respect for that guy at all. The captain and the commanders, man, they were great guys. The air boss, Commander Ed Brown, I love that guy to death. I'd do anything for that guy. My lieutenant, nope.
It was just striking to me. It was just really striking to me how they're both officers, and the lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps is not a slouch. You've had
Correct.
to pay the toll to get there, but the treatment by other officers to those two individuals was stark. And so I kind of wanted your take on that. It was a very interesting topic because I have, someone who served in combat, got wounded, Andrew, multiple times, right? And someone who's had to work in a high stress environment and command other sailors to make sure the planes land and take off safely. I mean, it's not an easy thing. So I was very interested in that. But, to kind of close this down is, you guys launched fairly recently and you shipped me some of your first episodes, and I'm like, you guys are on the right track. Believe it or not, you're on the right track.
Your criticisms and critiques were great, by the way.
Yes.
Well, thank you. But I just want to say it again because it's not said enough that, to see you all doing this is just like, yes, it really makes my day. And I cannot wait to see what you all have in the future. We all can win here if we all pull together. I just so thank you for coming on Oscar Mike Radio. I can't wait to come to Tennessee again and see you both in person.
Yeah, us too. Hey, by the way, Travis, congratulations on your award.
Yes.
Good job, brother.
Well, I need you all in the awards show next year. We got to grow this thing. It was
what's that award show called?
It's the Veterans Podcast Awards. And Andrew is bragging on me a little bit. I took the news category, second place in the Marine Corps category.
Hoorah, man! That's
I was more upset about the Marine Corps than anything else. I won that one.
I just want to add that the Scuttlebutt podcast makes no money off of these stories. No. I just want to be clear about this. We were approached by a manager. He wanted to manage us and had all these great ideas, and I absolutely put a stop to it. Like, if you put a dollar amount to this, and then I feel like I'm perverting my fellow brothers and sisters' stories, and that's not what we're about. We just want to get their stories out there. And I'm going to start a Patreon page, but only to build off of every nickel that goes into it will go into the podcast. We will not ever make a nickel off of the podcast. I just want to be clear about that.
Well, I think it's important you say that. I'm the same way with Oscar Mike Radio. I have never taken a dime, in profit. If I have sponsors, true. Mm-hmm. But trust me, I mean, you guys, you know that this equipment's not cheap. Yeah. Transporting the stuff's not cheap. So I don't make any money off this, right? Yeah. But I was going to ask you, I mean, the other thing too, I find is the minute because I've watched other podcasters, right, do what was done to you. I'm going to come in there, I'm going to manage you, I'm going to do this. The minute you take that money in that direction, it's no longer yours. Exactly.
I couldn't live with myself if I did that. I have to be able to get up in the morning and look in the mirror. I couldn't. I'm not selling not one damn story that's on this podcast.
You guys are rocking the beards now. I'm almost thinking maybe I should give it a shot.
Hey, I got a funny story about that. So
there's a funny story, Travis.
Uncle Si was sitting at our table, and this man lives with legendary beards. Their whole family just has these legendary beards. So before we even started, I said, hey, Uncle Si, you got to do me a favor. I need you to rate my beard on the scale of 1 duck to 10 ducks. And he thinks about it. He's like, 10 ducks being the best? I said, yes, sir. 10 ducks being the best. He says, I give you 2 ducks.
Oh, way to go, Jack. You didn't even rate my beard.
Savage. Wow. Just 2?
He gave you 2 ducks, man. He said,
Travis, I think Commander Fleek's beard looks amazing. So
I think it's better than 2 ducks.
I think it's better than 2 ducks, but
maybe 2.5.
Again about that.
I'm not a beer aficionado, but I would have to definitely say more than 2 ducks.
Wow, dude, I think you should start rocking a beard, Travis.
I don't know. I've been baby faced for so long, but it's just great to talk with you. It's great to see your show growing, and then again, if you're a podcaster or military podcaster and you're wondering how you can, get out there, well, I mean, subscribe to the Scuttlebutt podcast, get on their social media, and you all have kind of written the template of how to do this in 3 months. Well, because it took me a long time, a lot longer than 3 months to get going. But think about it. You started your show. You guys worked on your gel. You got yourselves gelled out and rolled together. You put yourselves out there. People like what you're doing. And, to the point about emotion, I mean, I'm sitting there listening to the Korean War veteran, and I'm like, I'm getting chills, man. I'm like, you don't hear these kinds of stories that often. And so it's one of those things.
That was a good one. His presidential citation was amazing.
Yeah.
I started crying when I was reading it.
I think Andrew called me out on that one, man, because while the man was talking, I had goosebumps on my arms, and Andrew looks over on the podcast recording. Richard, you're getting goosebumps. I'm like, hey, bro, don't call me out, man. Wait till the mics are dead.
I like that stuff. I like that stuff because it's real.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's part of the moment.
Yeah. So our language,
Stern stuff, man.
Our language is very raw. So if you're out there and it's not safe for work, if you have kids in the car, don't play our podcast. Wait till you're alone by yourself. We swear a little bit. He talks like a Marine. I talk like a sailor. It all comes out, and we get raw we get down to business, man. And it does get emotional. We have definitely shed tears on the podcast for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was curious about that, and then I'm glad you brought that up, because do you think in this day and age where so many men are struggling mentally, that you're providing an additional outlet to show that, hey, it's okay when you're feeling emotional to let it out?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. So right after we launched our first couple episodes, I got a Facebook message from somebody I'd never met a day in my life. And his response was, man, I was in Iraq on so-and-so days. Thank you for this episode. This is what I really needed today. And I was like, holy shit, man. This is actually working.
It's working.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Travis.
Just an honor, man. I mean, to see we'll have to talk again, Andrew, but to see where Andrew was, where he is now, and, the people, Commander, that he's able to impact, and how you all working together is just great. Call me a fanboy. I don't care, because I'm seeing it work.
Hey,
I love it.
We love you, fanboy. Yeah. We love you.
Yeah.
So as we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we are mission in flight. I'm with Andrew Farr and Commander Richard Fleek of the Scuttlebutt podcast, based out of Central Tennessee. Check them out. I'll have all the links to their shows in the Oscar Mike Radio show post. You don't want to miss them. If you're in the Middle Tennessee area, look them up. Gentlemen, thanks again.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
Mission in flight.